What's up, everybody? How's it going? Austin Prechtel, Prechtel Elevate Performance, coming at you live. It's Friday. TGIF. TGIF. Isn't that right, Jinx? Say hello, everybody. Thank goodness it's Friday. All right. So, today, the topic, which I already talked a little bit about earlier today, is the concept of like, don't eat that. It's going to make you fat. You don't eat that thing. It's going to make you fat. Fat's going to make you fat. Carbs are going to make you fat. Protein's going to make you fat. Running's going to make you fat. Everything's going to make you fat, apparently. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about this because it's something that I heard a lot, actually, not from my parents or anything, but just from people just talking about it at like social events or like in school or like going out with literally anybody ever and going out to get something to eat and they're like, oh, I'm not going to eat that. It's going to make me fat. And I just want to get on here and talk a little bit about that because it's not true. I mean, it could be, but it's not inherently true. Nothing other than consuming more calories than what your maintenance calories are for you personally. The only way that you're going to get fat is if you go over that. That's the only way. And I'm just going to, be honest with you guys. Like, it's one of those things where, and this also applies, like, even if you've got like thyroid issues, PCOS, or other, like a slew of other like metabolic issues, that concept still applies. It just means typically that it's going to be harder for you to, like lose weight if you're, because your metabolism isn't on top of shit as much as it could be. And so that's like, that concept still applies. It's just going to be harder for you if you've got those things going on in your life. I'm not taking that away from you. I'm just saying that it still applies. You just have to actually be on a lower caloric intake than what somebody who, would be in your same shoes that doesn't have that issue going on. But that's besides the point. I'm not really going to get on here and talk about that. I'm here to talk about, the concept of, things making you fat. Okay. And this happens a lot, like, especially like for women, and guys deal with it too. Like, I'm not saying that they don't, but typically like 99% of the people that I've talked to and like most of the people that I've seen personally in my life that have had, a similar, like conversation, or I've heard these things before in these scenarios, is like, don't eat that. You're going to get fat. Like, don't, and a lot of times it happens whenever like, a mom or a maternal figure, like a grandma or whatever, aunts, cousins, sisters, things like that, like just telling each other or telling their kids, like, during their teenage years, like, you're going to get fat if you eat that. Like, stop eating so much of that. It's going to make you fat. Like, if you keep eating those chips, like, it's going to make you fat. Like, and so like being told that from such a young age is really fucking hard, especially during your teenage years, whenever you're like really impressionable, you've got a shit ton of hormones going on and your brain is still developing like quite a bit, to where it's like, you're being like influenced and impacted in a lot of ways. And that's some like pretty toxic, like psychological shit going on. Like it's like not good. Like, and this is the issue. This is the hard thing too, is because most of the time the parents aren't doing it, or whatever parental figure or whatever, they're not doing it to be like a jerk or like a dick, or because like they hate, like, they hate their kid or anything. Sometimes that might be the case, but like most of the time it's probably coming out of a place of fear and some love, and like it's just like, it's not being like conveyed the right way, and it's probably because like their parents were that way with them. Like their parents are probably like telling them the same exact stuff, back when shit was even more like backwards back then, and like and because of that, they're carrying on that, like, unhealthy cycle of repeating the same shit that they were told whenever they were, a teenager by their parents. And so it's one of those things where it's like it's hard to it's just hard to like, like get out of that and break that habit and break those thought patterns, because we've been told that from such a young age. Like, imagine if your parents never told you that like Santa Claus was like fake or something like that. You right? Like people would still be probably fucking thinking that Santa Claus is a thing because we were told that from like so many times, and we're told to believe this shit from such a young age that the same kind of thing could be applied, but we just never had anybody, or a lot of the people in this situation were never told that this was like, not a real thing, because they didn't realize it was not a real thing either. And that's what education is kind of in a nutshell. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm here to tell you, like calories are calories, like fats, carbs, protein. Like you can get fat eating any of those things if you consume more than what your maintenance calories are. Being in a caloric surplus is the only way you can get fat. Okay? It's the only fucking way you can get fat. Okay? If you are gaining weight, regardless of whether or not like you have PCOS or like a thyroid issue or whatever, you're in a caloric surplus. Okay? It may not be, as high, like I was saying, like it may not be as high, like your metabolism and all that, like your maintenance calories are probably lower than your average person's, but the fact, like the fact of the matter is like you're still in a caloric surplus for you personally with your current situation and issues and things like that. That's the only way you can get fat. Like you can lose weight eating all the macronutrients. You can lose weight eating fats, carbs, protein. You can also gain weight eating fats, carbs, and protein. There's nothing like wrong with any of those food groups. Like so many people like try to demonize shit so quickly that it's not even funny, and it's frustrating because it's like so many people have this in their head from such a young age that they're told like, the reason I want to talk about this is because it causes like a lot of people, especially women, to fear food, to have like a shitty relationship with food, to think that they can't eat certain things. And then when they do end up eating those things, they end up making themselves feel bad about it because they were told that they should feel bad about it. And that's just not like, that's not right. Like, that's not fair at all. Like, that's fucked up. And it's one of those things where it's like, you need to like, and it's hard. And this is the thing. It's hard to break those those thought patterns and those habits and those things that we've been told since we were really little, that nobody ever told us that, anything differently. And that's, like I said, that's why I'm here. And so like, it's one of those things where it's like I've heard some like really like kind of like bad things like that people told me like, oh, like, from such a young age, like I was told like if I got fat, like I would get fat from eating these foods. And because of that, like, I'm never going to find like a husband or a boyfriend or a significant other or whatever. And it's like, being told that shit from a young age is like fucked up, and it can fuck you up, and it can make it to where like you're going to be afraid of food or have it, like I was saying, a bad relationship with food. And it's just one of those things where it's like I'm here to tell you, like, you can eat pretty much anything, like, and still lose weight. You might not look exactly how you want if you're not implementing a strength training program, or if you're not implementing, proper macronutrient ratios, like getting enough protein in, limiting, making sure that you're not going way over on your carbs and your fat and things like that. Because, it's like that old saying, it's like we are what we eat kind of thing. And if you lose weight, like there's a difference between weight loss, straight up weight loss, and fat loss. Typically, whenever you're going for straight up just like weight loss, you don't care if you lose muscle as much. You're eating whatever. You're not focusing on your macronutrients properly, and it's one of those things where it's like you kind of are what you eat. And if you eat like shit while you're trying to lose weight, you're probably going to kind of look like shit when you get to your goal. And that's why strength training is really important, to help build muscle and help retain muscle as much as possible. That's why it's important to get enough protein in whenever you're in a weight loss phase, especially because it helps keep you from like atrophying and burning up your muscles while you're losing weight. Because no matter what, when you lose weight, like when you go into a cut or a weight loss phase, like you're going to lose some muscle. You're just going to, it's pretty much impossible not to, unless you're on performance enhancing drugs. So it's one of those things where it's like, that's going to be like, a byproduct. And the goal is to try and minimize that as much as possible while you're losing weight, so that way you can look good when you get to your weight loss goal. Because otherwise, if you're going to do it all willy-nilly, you're going to end up looking like you might look fine, but you probably are likely not going to look how you would have wanted to, or ideally how you could have. So That being said, stop demonizing food. Stop listening to that voice in your head that, your mom or your grandma or your aunt or whoever put in there for you when you were younger, because it's not true. Nothing will inherently make you fat other than eating too much of whatever that thing is. You can lose weight eating ice cream. You can lose weight eating McDonald's all the time. You can lose weight eating anything. It's not ideal. You might feel like crap while you do it because you're not getting your micronutrients in properly, but it can be done. Like, it can absolutely be done. And it's one of those things where it's like you got to acknowledge these things, and you got to acknowledge these thoughts and feelings that you're going through, because if you're, just every time like it happens, you're just like pushing it. If you're in like trying to like lose weight right now, and this shit's going on, and you're not acknowledging it and being mindful of it, and you're just like every time it happens, you're just like pushing it down deep inside of you a little bit more. You're gonna keep pushing it, and eventually you're gonna come to a point where you're stressed out, you're having a bad day, like you got a flat tire or something like that, and you're just gonna be like, you're gonna like say fuck it, and you're gonna binge or go out of control or fall off and quit, because you're not going about this in the most sustainable way. And so that's just my advice. That's just me saying, what I have to say on this. Like, it's one of those things that I know that at least some point in like most women's lives, and probably a lot of guys' lives too, they've been told that kind of shit. And it's like, I just wanted to nip that in the bud and get it out there, because it's not true. Like, you can eat those foods. You can enjoy those foods. You don't have to, feel ashamed for eating those foods. This week's topic has been kind of on the top, like this week's kind of been all about like food and nutrition and, relationship with food and stuff like that, just because it's important, because a lot of people deal with that shit. And it's one of those things that I feel like, more people, need to recognize, and be a little bit more introspective and like, AKA mindful, and think about these things, try to work through them. Because, just try to enjoy life. Food's awesome. Food's great. Like, as long as you're doing it in eating it in moderation and being, mindful of these things. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I hope this is helpful, because, food blank is not going to make you fat. It's not, unless you eat too much of whatever blank is. Blank isn't, inherently bad for you. Eating too much of blank could be. Does that make sense? Cool. Sweet. Fuck yeah. Cool. Let's have a good Friday, everybody. If you're watching this at a later time, hit me with that hashtag replay and let me know that you saw this. And if you like this video, give it a like. Let me know that you saw it. If you know somebody that could benefit from this and is struggling with, dieting or weight loss or whatever, or you've heard them say this kind of shit before, send them this video. Tag them in this video. Let them know that it's okay. Like, whatever, or whoever told them that stuff in the past was wrong. Okay? Like, I'm not afraid to tell you that your mom was wrong. I'm not afraid to tell you that your grandma was wrong. I'm not afraid to tell you that whoever in your life said that shit is wrong, because they're wrong. Like, they're not right. Like, it's just the way it is. So, anyways, that's my life for today. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend. That's my life for today. And I'll see you guys on, today's Friday. See you guys on Monday. Have a good one, everybody.